Very cool.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Marinate 24 hours, and then you just stick it on that spit, and then you kind of go from there. Yeah.
Wow.
So it'll be cooking while we're doing this.
That is true commitment to a meal. When you marinate something for 24 hours, that's like Thanksgiving.
It's big enough for everybody.
Sure.
Rules. All right.
You just smush it to the Zoom screen.
And guess what? We're live for Triple T number 148, October 29th, 2024. My name is TJ Zill. I like to call myself a professional problem solver, which I always follow up with, no, I don't know everything. I just have a unique way of asking lots of questions to help people find the solutions they're looking for. I want to thank all of you for showing up again. 148 of these in a row. Holy smokehouse. We are live on YouTube as well, so I get to say hi, Mom. And everybody else out there watching. For those of you watching on YouTube, please do all the YouTube stuff. Click the subscribe button and ring the bell and leave comments and comment on other people's stuff and comment on your stuff again and, comment. What else we got? I've got a website being built. Oh, and then there's Mike teasing us with amazing food. Website being built. My current one is still up and running, and that is theTSWB.com. THETSWB.com. The tall, skinny white boy. Yes, that's what it stands for. Always has. I don't care what else you find on the internet, so don't even bother looking. I offer a free 30-minute consultation. That is your opportunity to spend 30 minutes with me and discuss whatever challenges and improvements you would like to make in your life. Or if you just want to chat, it's your time. What else do we, oh yes, I get the privilege of helping people with all sorts of fun stuff. Depression, anxiety, phobias, PTSD, limiting beliefs, relationship challenges. Got a lot of relationship challenges lately. Ever since, I'm just going to say 4 years ago, the last 4 years, a lot of relationship stuff. Leave it at that. And a lot of fears and phobias came out of that as well. So I work with athletes from beginner all the way up to pro level. And I also offer corporate coaching because, believe it or not, those corporate CEOs, OOs, and all the triples and stuff and the people that work in the businesses are human for the most part. That's the part that I work with anyway. Enough of that. It is time to introduce the tie of the week. Yes, I have been wearing a different tie every week since the start of this year. And as Lenora cutely pointed out, it's like a flashback to the 90s when they had Warner Brothers stores and stuff. So, anybody recognize any of these amazing characters?
I hear Tweety Bird in my head going, I taught a putty tat.
All of them.
Yes, right?
Sylvester.
Yeah.
Tasmanian Devil. Yosemite Sam. Roadrunner. Bugs Bunny. The Coyote. Daffy Duck. You got them all. The Alien.
Yep. Good stuff,
Martian. Huh? Marvin the Martian.
Yeah. Martian, Alien.
Come on now.
Come on. Where's the love?
You had them all right up until that point.
It's almost like you didn't live in the 90s or something. My gosh.
Right?
Okay, so we got that done. For those of you that are tuning in or watching the recording for the first time, the way this works, the first hour, I've got 3 topics that I've picked for the week, and I do my best to get through all 3 of them. Sometimes it just doesn't happen, and that's fine as well. Second hour is open mic, open platform. Anybody on the call can bring up a question or a topic, and I allow everybody on the call to answer first because I like to learn as well. And if there's anything else I can add at the end, that's when I offer up my 2 centavos. So I also like to get a feel of how everybody's week went. Anybody got any downloads, ahas, epiphanies, cool stuff they want to share about their week since we've been together last?
Other than it looks like a cannonball lit up from here all the way that way.
A what?
It looks like a cannonball went off in my office.
Oh, well,
Like I'm hiding a lot of it.
yeah, well, I also believe the statement that a nice, clean, organized desk is the sign of a sick mind or a very bored mind.
I never heard that one, but that's a good one.
Other than that, yes. Well, then I guess we will get after the topics of the night. Tonight's topics: rationalizing with scorpions, projecting and spotlight, and the price of cheap. Diving right in. Rationalizing with scorpions, and I'm sure if you've not been around Planet TJ very long, you're like, you what? No, I'm not the scorpion whisperer. In fact, I didn't have to deal with them much till I moved to Texas. And we got those little buggers all over the place. And it's amazing what they can sneak into. Oh yeah, I've found them in the sink of my upstairs bathroom. You learn quick that you before you put a shoe on, you pick it up, you shake it out a little bit. Before you put gloves on, you pick them up, you shake them out a little bit, just to be sure. But this doesn't have much to do with the actual little insect that we're talking about. It's more of the saying, scorpions will do what scorpions do. And I know that I've told this story on Triple T a couple of times before, but to assist with the topic tonight, I'll tell it again. There was a frog hanging out, enjoying his day, sunning by the edge of the pond. And all of a sudden, a scorpion shows up, and the frog's like, "Arr!" And he's about to jump, and the scorpion's like, whoa, 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 buddy, hey, buddy. I'm not here to hurt you or anything. I really need your help. And the frog's like, what do you want? He says, I got to get to the other side of the pond before nightfall, and I'm never going to be able to make it across. The only way I'm going to get there in time is if I go straight across. So I'm wondering, would you give me a ride? Would you let me ride on your back? Would you take me across? And the frog's like, you're a scorpion. Why should I trust that you're not going to sting me and kill me? He's like, dude, I got to get across to the other side. Why would I do that? And the frog, being a nice frog, as most frogs are, he's like, well, all right. So the scorpion climbs on his back, and they're going across. About halfway across, the scorpion stings him. And the frog's like, what? Why? We're both going to die now. And the scorpion says, well, sometimes a scorpion's got to do what a scorpion's got to do. And we've all dealt with our own scorpions. Imposter friends and people that you've had to deal with who sometimes will shoot themselves in the foot just to prove they've got a gun. Or they'll start a fight even though they know they're wrong, just because they want to win the fight. And I've got a client, as many of you have caught on, a lot of this stuff comes from clients that I'm working with. And they're dealing with the changes. They're evolving. They're clearing out a lot of their past trauma, past limiting beliefs, and things of that nature. And they're at that hard level. I call it it's the level where you end up being really lonely because the people you used to hang out with are not advancing with you. And you haven't quite met your new tribe yet. So you're right in that middle level. And sadly, and I guess in a way, kind of a good way, this is when the scorpions really reveal themselves. They have no problem attacking you for anything that they can come up with. You're abandoning them, or, oh, you think you're better. Oh, you need to get some help. And because they've known you for a while, they know your buttons. They know your triggers. And my client found themselves trying to rationalize with this person and realized that all it did was got them into a battle. And there they were, battling with a scorpion and trying to rationalize with it until they remembered scorpions are going to do what scorpions do. It didn't really have anything to do with them. In fact, it wasn't being done to them, it was being done at them. And if you use protective empathy, the other person is probably hurting because they're losing their friend, their energy source, their outlet for whining, crying, and attacking. And so why not? Why not attack them? And for those of us that are going through the changes and evolving, I'm sure we've all felt or heard or been attacked by quote unquote friendly scorpions in past tribes. And it can even be as loving as family members. No, you would never have a family member that would be willing to sting you because they know where your buttons are. But when I was writing this down, it also made me flash back to watching some parents, and don't get me wrong, before you start typing, I know, I get it. Parenting is massively challenging. But I've watched parents argue and try to rationalize with a 2-year-old. And I'm like, nice try, but one of you got to be the adult. And even here, somebody's got to be the protector of you. And if you find out that it's the teenager or the 5-year-old or the 2-year-old inside of you that wants to fight with the scorpion, at some point, the current you has to step in and go, turn around, walk away. You're rationalizing with a scorpion. It's not worth the energy. Let them think they won. What does it matter? It's a scorpion. Your energy is worth much more than claiming the title that you talked a scorpion into leaving you alone. Any input, ahas, epiphanies on this so far? Lenora.
I think it's always so interesting, especially when you're talking with scorpions that are very close to you, and you can have all of these make-believe disagreements in your head with them. And I've caught myself a number of times going, okay, you're only having this conversation with yourself. And is this the best use of your energy? You could be thinking about anything else. Do you really want to be thinking about this? And then I try to take notice. Who wants the justice? Who wants to be heard in this conversation? Because part of you has the ability to step out and go, do you really want to be focusing on this? And another part of you is having, this Academy Award-winning performance of being heard. And then you also have to look at it from different angles. What's so important about being heard? And when you're doing that, are you then behaving just like them?
Exactly.
So really having a lot of introspection about it, and also finding ways to really get at the core of it, which is resolve the need to have that conversation. Go to that part. That part feels like it's not heard. So that's where you need to go. It's not so much the other person. It's more about you have to go do your work.
Exactly. And, why did you say that? Why did you do that? Because they're a scorpion? Yeah, but why did they do it to me? Because they're a scorpion?
I used to say that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, why did they do that to me?
Michael.
So this brings up lots and lots of things and lessons we all need to have. And I say we all, not necessarily our tribe here, but anybody watching or people we're dealing with. We can deal with scorpions every day on Facebook or any other social media that somebody has their story and they're sticking to it and they want to get into an argument about something silly. My mother-in-law last night, we're celebrating my wife's birthday yesterday at their house, and she gets a crazy phone call from her twin sisters, one of her students that she helped lift up in life. And apparently this lady made some bad choices. She ended up going to jail. And my mother-in-law saw on Facebook, said, "Welcome back. Welcome home." And this lady took it wrong, and she calls and she starts yelling at my mother-in-law at the dinner table, screaming. And so she says, "I'm sorry," and hangs up and lets her go. She then proceeds to call her sister and says, "Oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah." But this person is a scorpion, and she's just looking to sting as many as she can because she needs the drama. And the story she told the sister was, how could she say, "Welcome home from jail"? on my Facebook. And all she said was welcome home. And then this lady deleted the comment, so you can't go back and reference and say, no, she just said welcome home. Kind of crazy. But then you look at that, and so then I'm talking to my mother-in-law, and she says, well, I'm just going to call and make this and make it right. I'm like, no, don't engage, because she's looking for more drama. This is what she's looking for. This is what she needs to feed on. Let it go. And it's so easy to get entangled, entrapped, and enmeshed in the crap of other people's drama. Look at what's happening right now with politics. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Oh, guys, it doesn't matter who wins or loses. We're still going to do the very best we can every day. That's all we can do. Agreed?
Agreed.
So,
Yep.
hey, good job bringing up the scorpion story. I love that story, and I share that story as much as possible.
Thank you. Appreciate the input. And there's another point. There are people who are so comfortable and enjoy being in the middle of the storm that if everything is calm, they don't know what to do, so they have to start a storm to feel comfortable again. And hopefully there are some of you out there who have no idea what I'm talking about, because those of us that do know what I'm talking about, these people are so miserable. Nothing is good enough. Nothing.
But along those lines, TJ, people that are that miserable don't realize that they're that miserable, because when you're trapped in hell, you don't know you're in hell, you know?
Yep, scorpions being scorpions. They don't even know that they're a scorpion. They just know that they're a scorpion that's angry and they need something to go sting.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
When you listen to them sometimes, it's so sad, because it's just like, for real, is that all? Tell me something good. And the look on their face when you challenge them to tell you something good is like, what do you mean? Like what? Like, but don't you see how bad everything is? And you're saying it's good is a good thing for me to start a fight over. And there you are.
Along those lines, you find what you look for.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway. All right.
Yes. Mark.
I was going to say in the past, I used to call those people, gods or goddesses of war. If they're not at war, they have no purpose. So they have to create conflict, and they have to create some sort of drama or conflict just to feel alive.
Yep.
God of war, goddess of war.
Yep. And that's why I brought this up, to help those of you that have been or may end up around a scorpion again, or an energy vampire. We, on top of having the election in a few days, when everything is going to go into disruption regardless of who wins, we have the holidays coming up. And so those can also be fun times where people are stressed out. They're looking at their bank account. They're looking at work overload. They're looking at all the other stuff. And sadly, a majority of people, when they're stressed out, tired, and all the above, the inner scorpion gets to come out as a release. And I've said it many times. It's one thing if you're walking behind somebody who's carrying a long 2x4 and they abruptly turn and catch you off guard and hit you on the side of the head with it, yeah, it hurts. You know that they did not intend it whatsoever. And hopefully their reaction right immediately afterwards enforces that. But if they walk up to you with a 2x4, look you in the eyes, crack you over the head with it, and tell you, there, that's what you deserve, that's a different pain. And when we're dealing with stuff like that, especially when dealing with scorpions, we also have to watch out for the inner fight that we take with ourselves for the next however long. And I've been just as guilty. Somebody torqued me off, and for the next 2 weeks, I'm rehearsing all the lines to a movie that I'm never going to star in. But it takes the same amount of energy. And a couple of people, very few, have actually seen the beast that I call him. And I've warned a number of them, like, just leave me alone. You don't want to see the beast. And what's a scorpion do when they hear that? Ooh, I'm scared. No, you should be. I know you don't know what you don't know, but I know what I know. Don't mess with me. Walk away. Go play somewhere else. And once again, we find ourselves rationalizing with a scorpion. When the best thing we can do, identify it as such, turn around, walk away, protect our energy, and go somewhere else. Any more comments on this before we switch gears? Yes, no, maybe so. All right, moving. Oh, I saw that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying in the chat, the best is when they go, well, I have nothing to complain about. And it's almost like they want an award and they're looking for something to feed on. And hold on to your hats if you think it's you that they're coming after, because it might just be because they need that charge. And then they'll respond with something along the lines of, oh, well, I hate fighting. Or, well, you started it. And they'll find it, which I think also leads into your projection, projection and spotlighting. I feel like they go hand in hand, especially if you grow up in an environment where there is a lot of scorpion-like behavior. You're then constantly on guard, thinking something else is going to happen. And that's how a lot of people pleasers are born. That's how I ended up ruling as president for the longest time of the people pleasers. So something I know a little bit about.
And Mike, you had your hand up. Did you get your?
Yeah. I have spent much of my life practicing speeches, but it's more like it comes from a perspective of self-protection, that when I'm being attacked, then I'm practicing defending myself. And that just cycles and cycles and cycles, and it's the same road over and over again. It's the merry-go-round that never ends, and then takes up all your time and all of your energy, and so you can't see anything outside of just that racetrack, and you don't see the beauty that's around you, because that's where your mind is stuck, or at least it was for mine. So
Appreciate you sharing that, Mark.
Do you think that some people, if they grow up around scorpions, they develop, their sarcasm to instead of protective empathy, they could use sarcasm to fend off the scorpions. Just a question.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up, but I forgot about that part in this talk. Sometimes, scorpions will be so relentless that the only way to get them to leave you alone is to turn around and battle them, not with words, not rationalizing, but basically tell them F off under no certain terms. You know, sometimes the playground bully just needed a really good butt whooping. And oftentimes what they found out, the big bully was just acting out of being scared and maybe issues at home. But when they finally had somebody they've been picking on go into a full rage and just beat the snot out of them, all of a sudden they're like, whoa, 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 and the stingers broke off. So there's no real, I can't give a definitive answer for how to deal with scorpions other than to recognize them as quickly as possible, realize that trying to rationalize with them is one of the, I've found to be least effective ways to deal with them. And letting them get in your head is the worst way of allowing them to win. Which ties right into the next subject of projecting and spotlighting. And we've gone over spotlighting before in a different context. And in that context, a real brief description of what it is learning new things or trying to be a new person. But especially learning new things, especially echo talk and the trifecta. I've found so many people, so many students, when I'm teaching them the trifecta, I have to immediately teach them about spotlighting, which is you know that you're doing something different. And in your head, the spotlight is on you because now everybody knows that you're doing something different. The only problem is the only person, the spotlight is fictitious and it's only in your head. Well, with another way that it can attack you is if you've been around scorpions and other people like that, you can also start projecting or spotlighting limitations on yourself. Well, they just think that it's a combination of a mind read and a spotlight and a projection. If they come over here, they're going to think this is dumb. I did this. And before they can even see it, you've already projected, you've already set the spotlight on yourself that they're just going to show up, they're going to see this, and they're going to think it's dumb. Or I'll never be able to do this because they will ... And it starts to really set in a lot of limitations. Mike asked a question in the chat. Scorpions feel very comfortable testing and pushing. When we are newly beginning our journey, we are unprepared for the challenge. That depends on who's preparing you for the journey, Mike. Oftentimes we don't understand the testing and pushing. And we don't understand that we have the ability to push back against it. We have the right to push back against it. We have the right to defend ourselves. Michael.
Along with answering Mike really quick, let me take my little hand down. There's my hand to put it down. We as individuals also need to be careful what we share when we are starting a new journey.
Yes.
Because there are so many naysayers out there. There's so many people out there that want to put the weight on you. And so it's sometimes less said is best said. So once you hit your spot, then you can let it out.
And I'm so glad you brought that up. No, go ahead, Lenora, and then I'll go ahead. You're allowed to.
No, spit it out.
One of the metaphors that I've used for this is if you decide that you want to run a marathon, sadly, who is going to be standing by the side of the route throwing the most sticks at your feet while you're running by? Friends and family. Strangers who you've never met will be standing by the route and cheering you on and holding up banners for you. But it'll be friends and family that'll be throwing sticks, trying to get you to trip and fall. And so you're right, Michael. Sometimes you just have to sign up for the race and run and win a couple of them before they find out what you're doing. So that if they ever hear that you are doing this crazy thing that you just can't do, and why would you waste your time? Stick, blah, 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 attack. You can go, I already completed 4 of these, and I enjoy it, and I'm going to keep doing it. What? You've done? Yeah, dream stealers. And sadly, they can be some of your closest friends, even a spouse. You never know. You have to know to a point, but you never know who that's going to be. One of my clients, the one that I was talking about that brought up scorpions, their children right now are treating them differently, and they're really having a problem with it. And I said, here's part of what you have to understand. You're a different person. They don't know if this is just a temporary act or if this is who you really are. And of course, now they're dealing with a lot of projecting and spotlighting and feeling judged by their children and other things going on with friends and family. And part of the questions I have to ask them is, how do you know? How do you know? is that exactly what they told you? Well, no, but... And they're dealing with a lot of spotlighting because they know they're doing something different. They know that they are changing. And so they are projecting onto others what they think the others are seeing and not seeing. And they're also spotlighting themselves into believing what may be happening. And so I have to keep reeling them back in. How do you know? And even if that were true, how can you keep it from affecting you? Oftentimes when we're doing these massive changes, we're going to be dealing with what are called frame wars. And the person who holds the frame the longest wins. And so you have to take a good look at what is it you want in your life? What do you want to change? How badly do you want the change? Are you willing to hold on to the frame long enough for all of these people to finally go, well, that's just who they are now. They used to be, but now they are. And you'll start to understand when you're winning the frame war. Because if you run the marathon long enough, the stick throwers eventually realize that it takes a lot of energy for them to carry around the sticks to throw at you. Especially when they see so many other people holding up signs and cheering you on. And when you start hanging out with a better crowd, a different tribe, and they're like, wow, they really don't hang out with so-and-so much anymore. But these new people that they're hanging out with are pretty cool. And eventually, that is 100% of who you are. Any input, ahas, comments on this? Lenore.
When it comes to the things that I do, I learned a very long time ago not to tell people anything. Don't tell people many things because I don't want their opinion. They'll often try to talk people that are, I would probably say, like, let's rewind a good 10 years ago. I still wouldn't tell people anything. And until after the fact, or until like right when something was about to happen, because I didn't want their opinion coming in, because I knew if I shared it, all I was going to get was opinions and judgments, and not like, wow, that's a great idea. Oh my gosh, tell me more. It was more like, why are you doing that? What are you doing that? What are you doing that? And even after I got a ton of certifications and I said, this is what I'm doing, because I had then built a website for this, people close to me had said, well, why are you doing that? Why didn't you go get a degree in it? Why didn't you do this? Why aren't you doing that? And constantly making you justify your decisions.
That's the word. Justify.
Yes. And explain to them, almost like, put your evidence before me and prove to me that you made a good decision, and I will validate if you did or did not make that good decision. And I've just learned to keep things very, very much to myself. And now in this case, people that are close to me that I know are trustworthy, that when I share something with them, they're going to A, be interested, and B, ask genuinely open-hearted questions and be supportive in that. And the way that I had thought what that would look was a lot like I would say something and I couldn't even picture it, but it looked a lot like I would say something, and no matter what it was, everybody would jump up and down and surely like it was the greatest decision. And in my head, I would think, I can't trust them because they're not giving me valid information. And the way that it actually looks in real life is when you share things with people who are trustworthy, who want what is best for you and what you want, it's very, very different. It's much it's actually it's very precious. It's very, very, I can't think of the word, but it's very beautiful. So for anybody who's thinking, well, I can't share with them and I'm not going to believe those people, allow yourself to build friendships and relationships with people who are going to look at it with you and encourage you and say, hey, you want to run a marathon? That's so cool. What kind of shoes do you have? What is your running gear? Oh, okay, yeah. Did you think about that? That's a good thing to think about, but let's look at it a different way and be on your team versus not be on your team and throw sticks at you on the sideline.
I am so glad you brought that up and for sharing that, because and that's all part of building your new tribe. If you want to run a marathon, stop hanging out with the people who like to sit at the bar, smoke cigs, and drink all day. Find people who run marathons. They will understand the talk. They will understand the drive. They will understand the motivation. And they will be the ones that can give you advice on where you want to go. That's why I also say, if you are trying to increase your income, stop hanging out with people that are excited about a 50-cent raise. Start finding people who talk differently, like portfolios and net worth and diversification and things of that nature, in a whole new language. It'll change. The more you hang out with intelligent people, the more you'll find that the conversation is different. Mark.
Couple three things that popped up. See if I get my scroll. The first one is some people seem to operate by the belief that everybody's entitled to my opinion.
Yes.
Um,
And you're going to like it whether you want it or not.
That's so accurate.
yeah, you don't have to seek validation from people who aren't, at your level or at your tribe. If you hang around with the right kind of people, I think you'll get the validation that you're looking for. Then a question. I had a question about, the spotlighting, and some people, I know I worked for many, many years assiduously to stay out of the spotlight. And life, me into the spotlight, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool up here. I can, can still be me and still be in the spotlight. So I don't know if people sometimes, seek to avoid the spot, but like input on that one.
We'll see if Michael's got something to add to that. Michael.
I do, but it was more for Lenora. I was actually just 2 days ago looking at memes. Imagine that. Scrolling through the internet, trying to find silly things and look at stuff. And Ram Dass said, when you go out into the woods and look at trees, you see all the different trees, and some of them are bent, you sort of understand that it didn't get enough light. And it turned that way. You don't get all emotional about it, you just allow it. But the minute you get near humans, you lose all that. And you're constantly saying, oh, you're to this, or I'm to that. That judgment mindset comes in. And so I practice turning everybody into trees and just letting them be.
Now, here's a age test. I'm going to go all Horseshack on you guys. Oh, 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 oh!
Mysticata! Mysticata!
Yes. Yeah, I know. There's some of you out there going, huh? TV show, Mr. Cotter.
Vinny Barbarino.
Yes. Travolta at his young. Be right with you, Mike, but I got to bring this up while the squirrel still has it here. I went to a woodworking business last weekend, and I was looking at a couple of. We were looking at different hardnesses of different types of wood, and I brought a chunk of cedar that I'd brought from Minnesota, and I was showing the growth rings on it were really tight, and it was surprisingly hard for cedar. Usually cedar is a softer wood. And one of the people that worked there said that they had tried building a large dome for people to live in and all this stuff, and controlled environment and everything, and they'd planted trees in there. And what they found out was the trees only got so tall and they would fall over. And when they looked at the growth rings and stuff, the growth rings were really big. But even oak trees, the rings were really big and the wood was really soft. Anybody know why? No weather, no wind, no stress. Nothing to make the tree build stronger root base, and nothing to improve the tensioning and the strength of the tree itself. And that's why you'll see some of these trees that live on the edges of the coasts, and they're bent up and kind of, when you go to cut them, that wood is very, very hard, and the growth rings are super condensed because they've been hit with the wind so much that if they don't learn how to increase their strength, they will snap and blow away. Mike, thank you for your patience.
Sure, yeah. I was just wondering if you can just give me a 1-minute dissertation or just a quick answer on how to deal with individuals who continue to ask the negative questions to keep fishing and just kind of get under your skin.
Okay. Are you looking for ways to deal with people like that?
Yeah, just a quick answer would be great.
It's a skill set. I'm going to put it flat out. One person who teaches it extremely well is Chris Voss. Also study Chris Voss, black Black Swan Group. Simon Sinek has a bunch of answers for that. I had somebody else too. There are different ways depending on the person that you're dealing with, and part of it will also depend on your personality. Some of them is like, go ahead, say that again. Or, wow, I'm surprised that you would say something like that. Or did you really say that? Wow, there must be a story in there somewhere. And there's a lot of these different ways that you can deal with these scorpions, these attackers. But then, like I said, my client got to the point where they just had to basically let them see the beast, and the beast had to tell this person to F off in no particular fashion and don't ever let me see your face again type stuff. And then, of course, the scorpion's like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I was just asking a question. I was just kidding. I did da da da, and trying to push it back on them, which you'll also have to watch for, because that's a cross between gaslighting and narcissism. And those scorpions are a lot of fun to deal with.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your answer. I really appreciate it.
Yep, you're very welcome. Michael.
Two stories. First for Mike, real quick. Let me put my hand down. Let it go down. There it goes. All right. A real quick response also is, the karate instructor, who's got the student, he's walking along the path, and he's walking with his buddy, and he sees there's a fight going on, and the guy walking with the karate instructor says, holy cow, man, look at that guy. Hey, isn't that one of your best students? And the guy says, no, that's my second best student. My best student chose a different way. If the people keep picking on you and saying stuff, take the lesson and start veering away. You don't need to be going back down that same road with those people if they're going to beat you down. And the second thing I was going to say, along with your trees that you were mentioning, is they did a study on fleas. And fleas can jump 3 and 4 feet. They're itty bitty 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 bit, but they can jump 3 and 4 feet. And they did the study where they put them into a little glass space that was only a foot high. And they let these fleas hit the ceiling. And sooner rather than later, they would stop right before the ceiling. And when they had their babies, the babies could only jump that high. And when they took the glass ceiling off, the babies were only jumping less than a foot high when they could jump way higher. Crazy.
We actually replicated that test. As crazy as it sounds, if you got dogs and if they end up with some fleas,
yeah,
put them into a plastic cup with cellophane over the top, plastic wrap, and you will hear that tick, 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 tick. And pretty soon, like you say, you'll see them. They'll still try to jump to get out, but they'll only jump so high.
Crazy.
Yeah. Lenora.
Bananas.
Bananas. Squirrel run away with your sign?
It was for Mike. Okay. Slowly.
There.
Yeah, it's a little dusty and covered in a cloud, but okay. Decide, especially if it's a single person or if it's a group of the same people that continue to ask these questions, decide if you want to have these conversations or decide what conversations you're willing to have. And a great thing to be able to do is values and criteria. What's important to them? And what you can do is control the conversation. Control the frame. Whoever controls the frame the longest wins. Control the conversation and keep them talking about topics that they enjoy. And you might think by the end, oh my God, I'm good. I don't need to hear the conversation. But in that time, you control the conversation and you have them talking. Ultimately, you then protect yourself from any negative connotation, any negative questioning, the topics coming back to you. And when they come back to you, you can say something very easy, general, vague, and then go, oh, by the way, tell me about that other thing that you were talking about. And just keep echoing them and control the conversation, because that way, as you're building your skill set, as you're building, and it's not just a linguistic skill set, it is a physical responsive skill set. So that way, when comments come at you, you know how to handle them, especially because you know how to handle the whatever part is going to come storming forward, and you get to turn them around and say, okay, we're going to deal with you in a little bit. I got to focus on this. We're going to come back to you, and hold the frame. So that way, when you talk, you don't have this shaky voice. It's great to have these go-to phrases of, that sounds like there's a story there, or do you want to tell me a little bit more about that? Or no, that's not the case. Hey, let's talk about such and such. It's great to have those, because that is your defense. If you're going to go into a lion's den or whatever you want to call it and have a conversation, you need to be able to hold the posture of that conversation. And as you're building that skill set, you will get into experiences in your life that will test how you're responding in that situation. And when you get tested, then go back and evaluate how you did when you're done. Okay. Did I like how that went? Did I feel like I was heard? Did I feel like, and notice it, because it is not something that comes, as much as I would have loved to say my experience had magically came overnight. Mine did not. The armor was well earned and put through the fire many, many times to make sure it was resilient enough. And ABT, always be testing, but know those topics that you feel comfortable with, and know when they're not. You're going to know. Have things up your sleeve ready to go so you control the conversation. You don't have to experience that. You can deal with it on your terms. You don't have to go there. Control the frame, bring it back to them, talk about anything else other than.
Great answer. Another one that I heard from Chris Voss is simply looking at him going, rough day? You having a bad day? Michael.
To bring up what Lenora brought up about 3 weeks ago, give yourself permission to have a better conversation, to attract better stuff in instead of the same old, same old. Give yourself permission to allow the new things in.
Exactly. Great answer. And that brings us past the end of the first hour, and we only made it with 2 topics. One got left on the table. Hey, that's part of the game. For those of you watching for the first time, watching the recording for the first time, the way this works now is second hour is open mic, open topic. Anybody on the call can ask a question or bring up a topic. Then everybody on the call answers first. And so this is an advantage for you to join us. It's free. You don't even have to know how to spell NLP. You just have to be willing to come in and have some fun and ask some questions. So, who's got questions to start off hour number 2? Michael.
I'm going to throw a ringer in. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
So the third thing we were going to discuss today is the price of cheap.
Yes.
And so I'm going to throw it out there and say, hey, the price of cheap. Don't shortcut yourself. do it. Put the work in, put the time in. As you have said, as David have said, as Holly has said, and I believe even Elijah, you pay for things twice. First, you may pay for it with money, and then you pay for it with the time and effort. So, anyway.
Good call. Anybody got anything they want to add to that?
I agree. I'd even say you pay more. I know we talk about money, we talk about time, but you pay for the knowledge of working to understand it and going through the unconscious incompetence to the conscious incompetence to the conscious competence, all the way to the unconscious competence. You definitely, there's a lot of work involved in that, and you pay for it. And hilariously enough, it's work that I love to pay for.
And for the people that just have never heard that concept before, could you go over those 4 steps a little bit and describe what they mean?
Amazingly, I was impressed with myself that I was able to recall them on the first take.
you
And now
did.
you're asking me
You
to
did
repeat it?
You did awesome.
Bananas. Unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know. Then you have conscious incompetence. You are aware that you do not know something. Then you have conscious competence. You are now aware of what you were not aware of before, and now you're working your way into unconscious competence, which is you're aware of it, and now it happens automatically. You don't even have to focus on it or think about it.
Yep, properly. Well done.
Thank you.
You want to give an example of that?
An example would be what Mike was talking about, whereas you don't know what you don't know, as in when you go into a disagreement with people and you're getting all these negative comments and you don't know how to stay calm, and you just know that you're having a meltdown and that you possibly, in my case, want to cry and scream at the same time, and you don't understand why. And then you go spend time with amazing people like you. So now you're aware that you don't know something, but they have solutions and they're really good with their solutions. So then you learn their solutions of how to tactically speak in a conversation, how to protect yourself, how to effectively navigate those conversations, and how to get into them and get out of them with the posture that you want to have. And then you are able to have difficult conversations with people that might be challenging in your life, but you now have the skill set to do that.
Well done.
Thank you kindly.
And Mark has his hand up.
Yeah, a good example of that, moving from unconscious competence to unconscious competence, is learning how to drive, trying to get behind the wheel. And I learned on a 3 on the tree Dodge Dart. You've got this clutch and you've got the brake, and you got to, be aware of, everything around you. You got to steer, you got to avoid other hurtling metal objects. And I can't do this. You're unconscious. And then you start doing it. You reach a level of, conscious competence. And then, you're driving for a few weeks, and you have rehearsed it enough, and say, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to borrow the car." She says, "Okay, be back by supper time." You get in the car, you're thinking about some girl, you're fiddling with the radio, and all of a sudden you're at your friend's house and you have no idea how you got there. Sank down into the subconscious. You became, unconsciously or subconsciously competent. But what Mike was talking about, the acquisition of, thank you, knowledge, like I said, it's painful. In fact, they had a study where they hooked, college sophomores, because they're good lab rats, up to all these, they were measuring their stress level. They had them stick their hand in a bucket of ice water for 10 minutes, and then they had same students try to do some high-level math problems, and the physiological reaction was identical. Yeah, learning is painful sometimes, and you have to tolerate the pain to learn, and move forward. That's it.
Yep. Great input. Appreciate and that was the metaphor or the story that I was going to share is learning to drive the stages. So yes, exactly. Michael.
Back to what Lenora just said to Michael, the powerful pause. If you can't answer the question, if you're feeling bombarded, revert back to the commercial where the guy bites into a Snickers bar or he bites into a Twix. It was a Twix commercial. They start hitting him with a question, da 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 da, and take the pause to formulate your thoughts so you can respond and not react.
Yep. That's so many people feel the need to fill in quiet space. They get so nervous when things are quiet, and they don't understand that that's a very powerful tool to use. Lenora.
So I agree with the quietness. Something that people actually do now is they talk faster because of their phones. And the reason that they talk faster is because they don't want to be swiped by. So people are now trying to talk faster and they're filling in a lot of their space with ums, likes, yeahs. Because if they talk a lot faster and then that way you don't have to swipe by them, but then, you can eventually get that point across. And a lot of the things that I teach my clients when it comes to their speech pattern is to play with their vowels and allow them to start stretching their vowels. Because while pausing can be really helpful, even better is really starting to be a bit more melodic and to stretch them out. And you will naturally slow down your speech pattern.
Awesome. That's what I love about this stuff. And anybody who has ever done Toastmasters will quickly learn how many fillers we put into our conversation sometimes, because they will actually record, they track every and all of those things. And it teaches you to slow down a little bit, in that a pause is okay. And if anybody has a Toastmaster group around, if you don't, you can also look into starting one. But it's a great, great tool to learn how to not only be a better speaker, but to also learn how to talk to other people with confidence. And pausing makes you sound more intelligent. And I was just reading Elijah's comment. You must understand, young hobbit, it takes a long time to say anything in Old English, and we never say anything unless it's worth taking a long time to say. I know a few people like that. So, who's got another question, topic? Lenora.
I wanted to piggyback off of something that was said earlier, especially when we started to talk about people sharing things with people and then not necessarily being supportive. And I came across a reel today and I was actually writing it down because I thought it was really powerful. It says, remember, if you want to be exceptional, you are going to be different from everyone else. That's what makes you exceptional. Both have discomfort. Okay, sorry. You can't fit in and also be exceptional. Both have discomfort. When you fit in, you have internal conflict because you're not 100% you. When you're exceptional, you have external conflict because everyone sees you as different. And then the other part of it was when people say you've changed, it's because they don't know how to say you've grown.
Yes.
I thought that was really powerful.
And let both of those sink in. That's part of the journey of growth. And again, that's where the lonely portion of growth is going to set in. You no longer fit in with the ones that want to throw sticks, but you haven't completely found your new tribe.
There was another reel I came across, and this person was talking about how a lot of people don't necessarily have the conversation about that space that people find themselves in. And he had heard what they call the minivan theory. And the minivan theory is as you're changing, the people in your minivan may start to change. And it's not necessarily pick some people up, drop some people off. It's that the people move around in their seat. So, for example, the people who are completely on board with everything that you're doing and they're part of it, they're up front in the seat. They're helping to navigate. They're playing with the radio. They're right there by your side, and those are the people that are in the front seat. Then they have the middle seat, which are the people who you still love them, you keep them close, but they're not up front in the where the real action is happening. And then you have the third row of people who are kind of on their phase of they're still a part of your life, but they seem to be more on the outskirts of it. And I thought that was just a very interesting perspective because you don't necessarily have to kick everybody out of your life. They do start to shift, and much like when we talk about the kingdom, who's inside the castle, who's able to sit at the table, who's able to be a part of the private spaces like the study or the den or something like that. You know, who is there and then who is in the town and then who's kept on the outskirts of town. So quite similar to that is the minivan theory.
Yeah. You know, with the minivan, then you got the people that you tie down to the rack on top. You got the ones that you drag behind it, and then you got the ones that want to stand in front, and you just go, I'm going to run you over if you don't move.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who's got another question topic? Come on, kids. For those of you watching the recording for the first time, yes, we go through this every week. So, Michael.
Minivans are the devil.
Great. I've owned 9 of them.
In Arizona, they'll give you a minivan for free when you lose your license. That way you know if you see a white minivan coming towards you, you scoot over. Because they can't.
Okay, mine's gold.
There you go.
Yeah. So who's got another question? Lenora.
I had a super cool aha this weekend.
Aha.
I know, right? So I was talking with somebody and we were talking about all this these topics that I'm not that comfortable with yet. And the thing that had come up and I kept thinking that what if something goes wrong? And so this kind of goes in with timelines. I know I'm smart enough to figure out a solution and I'm clever enough to figure one out. I know because I will manifest a solution for my highest good and the good of others. And then this other one, it was about that if you're constantly stepping into new timelines, you are the creator of your experience. You are the perceiver of your experience, which leads me to another thing that I'll have to put a pin in. You then have the ability to perceive the solutions, manifest the solutions so that you can perceive them more easily in the event that you get into a situation where you're thinking, hey, I need another solution. So thinking that nothing is so bad because you can perceive your way out of it. What are your thoughts? Did I explain that clearly enough? We have company here, Michael.
It's cold here in San Diego. She needs a blanket.
Uh-huh.
And it's my astrological blanket. It's got like Aries and Scorpio. It's all on here.
Uh-huh.
That's adorable.
So who has some input for Lenora? Mark.
Yeah, again, my perception's reality. Tad James, I learned timeline therapy from him. And if you can put yourself in that future place where you've achieved everything you could possibly imagine, all the solutions, have been solved and all the challenges met. You don't know how you got there. He says that in trance, you turn around and you look back to where you are at the present moment, and you'll see your mind will have created a pathway to become the person that you've always wanted to be, aspired to be. Once you have, like I said, so you imagine yourself in that place where you've already achieved all those things, then all you got to do is have the person, their mind, turn around and see. It might not be it'll be a list. It'll be all the things that had to happen for you to be where you are at that moment. The mind can flip forward into a place where you've achieved everything. You've met all your leg of timeline. Then the third leg is, what would that person do? If you've already achieved everything you could possibly imagine now, that person, what kind of mountains would that person want to climb? So timeline therapy can be very useful. If you're doing hypnosis, get people to become, that person that wanted to become, and then turn around and see all the things that had to be true or real for them to be that person. But yeah, it's about perception, and the mind will create some sort of a list or a pathway to get you to where you need to. That's it.
Yep. Future pacing. I appreciate you bringing that up. Who else has a question or a topic?
Did anyone ever hear that the pictures that you see, so even the things that you feel like you're inspired by, they're your future memories, or they're the future you, or they're you calling you to that point?
There's a question. Who's got an answer for her?
I find that such a very interesting concept. Does nobody else think about the future? Is it just me? Are you all like amazingly present all the time?
Pull them out. Okay, everybody come out of trance. Ask the question again, please.
Has anyone heard that these things that you want for yourself, whether you call them dreams or hopes, these pictures of yourself, has anyone ever heard that, or even thought about it as it's the future you calling you to that point, telling you how to get there? That technically in another timeline, you're already living that.
There we go. Mark.
I think those pictures, those those things that inspire us do draw us towards the path part, the future that, and follow your passion, follow follow your path. But those things that you can use your imagination, but those things that inspire you, I think, they're like, they kind of pull you towards them, or you pull them towards you. Sometimes when you're in the right state, you can manifest things, and things start coming out of the ether that but those pictures that inspire you, I think, either draw you or you draw them to you, or they're drawn, or you're drawn towards that future. My 2 cents.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Michael.
Along those lines with Lenora, thinking about the future and your future self, Abraham Hicks talks about stuff like that. And so, as we all know, we are not physical beings in a spiritual world, but we're spiritual beings in a physical world. And if you have the desire, it's your higher self or your spiritual self saying, hey, it's already created. It's up to us to allow it and open the door so those good things can come in.
I wanted to see, Elijah, are you able to come on the mic? You did a process once where you had a future you floated on a timeline, or like you left a path on how to get there. Do you remember that one? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain it?
The answer, yep.
So, it's something I did many years ago, just kind of came out of nowhere. It was having, like, when you're doing your future pace and you're living an hour, a day, a week, whatever, in that future, seeing what you see, hearing what you hear, feeling what you feel, and then it goes to the Snyder style, what color is that feeling, and having it surround you and feel it and move all through, and basically you have that color, and when you come back along that line of time from the future, you take a handful of like pixie dust that is that exact color, and you sprinkle it as you're coming back on the line of time from the future to now. And so your unconscious mind has a trail to follow to get you to that future, because you just follow that feeling and it'll get you there. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
I love that. I think that's so cool, especially attaching a color to the feeling and then leaving a trail of it. When you had mentioned that to me, I thought that was amazing. I loved it. Okay, I'll be quiet.
And I had a squirrel bring a little deal. Understand that dreams and expectations and things like what I refer to as your financial thermostat and stuff like that, that's also a form of future pacing. If somebody showed you 2 different houses, and one's a beat up little old shack and one's a nice little, the house that you've always wanted, you will future pace yourself into a situation that will accommodate what you feel you deserve, you feel you expect. And if it doesn't happen, that's when the disappointment sets in, because you had future paced where you expected to be and it didn't happen. And I've seen a number of people that are disappointed with where they are in life. Well, I never thought at this age that I would be here. That wouldn't be possible without some level of future pacing. There are people that you've probably witnessed that wherever I end up is where I end up. Whatever happens, happens, and I can't control anything, and da 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 da. Well, their future pace game is pretty weak, or they don't want to deal with it. They're just simply going to let life do to them whatever it wants to do. And Michael, you're absolutely correct. Never too late to rewrite your story until it's too late.
See, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start now and change the ending.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that quote because it's so true. Where you came from does not have to dictate where you end up. And that's what those of us here are about, agents of change. Helping people realize that the stuff from the past happened once. And it wasn't exactly what happened, it was the story that they created about what happened. And many times, it's not a very empowering story. Usually, oh, this happened and that's why I can't do this. Or you guys have heard me talk many times about the person, I had a bad day. Really? Your whole day sucked? Really? What? Tell me what happened. I mean, like, that must have been a lot of bad occurrences. No, in the morning, this happened to me. Okay, but what else happened bad? Well, I just had a bad day after that. No, you had a bad 2 minutes and you milked it for the rest of the day. You put a story on and you stuck to that story to make sure that you kept the story to ruin your whole day. There's a difference. And the beautiful Fran has joined us. And we're needing a new question or topic or addition onto this. We've got 25 minis left in this one. So who's got a question or a topic we can get into? Mark.
Put it in the chat earlier, but I love working with naturals and working with this lady, and he was a synesthete, and she could see auras, and she said, you have a very powerful aura, and I think people, he said, I don't know how the naturals get there, but there are people that can naturally I think maybe we all naturally can see it. We just filter it out. We've got to filter it out as we grow up. But you know, I like some people. You know, if anybody ever worked with someone who was a synesthete, and like I said, I like working with people that well, however they happen to get there. They you know that. But this girl was definitely a synesthete. She saw auras. Just wondering if anybody's worked with people like.
Okay. Who's got an answer? Who's worked with somebody who sees auras? Fran?
I mean, I do work with strange people who see auras, but I really don't have any comments of how they'd treat them particularly any differently. They'd see auras. Some people appreciate art, some people appreciate music, some people appreciate sport.
What was the question, Mark? Yeah.
Yeah, define the question a bit more, please.
Well, the question is, you know, have you guys ever worked with anybody like that? And, you know, do you believe that there are synesthetes out there, people that actually do see auras?
Definitely.
For sure.
I actually believe all children can see them, and they are taught by mimicking the grown-ups around them to ignore those auras, and then they stop seeing them after a while. But as kids, we can kind of all see them, but because we realize that the adults around us, the models that we are looking up to and learning from, ignore them, then we also learn to ignore them, and so then we stop seeing them.
Yep. Michael?
Well, we can retrain ourselves to see them.
Yes.
So it starts with little things. You know, you look at your hand and you see the outline, and then you can start seeing other people's auras as well, and you see the different colors. And so anyone can do it. You find what you look for.
Fran?
Would you like me to do one for you? I'll just have to tune in. Maybe you can see it if you look at the background, and if I just tune in a little bit.
Yes, please.
When doing it on demand, it doesn't happen quite as naturally. But you will be doing it anyway automatically when you're doing the work that you love. When you're doing what you love, when you're doing what you feel inspired about, you can see the sort of glow around people. I'm not doing it very bright today, but I'll tune in, keep watching this space and see what happens.
And when we were learning kinesiology, there were a number of times where we were taught how to feel people's energy field. And when you start doing that, it literally is very palpable. And I love when we had the non-believers, the naysayers, like, and I'm like, okay, try this once, just do this process, clap your hands, and then stand about 10 feet away, and then just start slowly walking forward and tell me when you feel a different pressure in the air. And the look on their face when they're like, right here. And I said, mm-hmm. Now watch me shift it a little bit. And I would shift between love and disgust. And if I would hit disgust, they'd be like, oh, it. And then when I'd do love, they're like, oh, and they would have to back up, and they're like, oh, it's way back here now. I said, yeah, but I thought you said that was funky woo-woo stuff that doesn't exist. Oh, you do feel it. Ah, yes, maybe some of this 3,600-year-old stuff has some merit to it. Michael.
I was lucky enough to practice martial arts with Vadim Stroov, and he's a Spetsnaz master. He's like the #1 trainer now that the #1 trainer passed away in Russia. And David Snyder knew him, and but he beat me up and down the beach in Cabo without even touching me. And take a punch, do this, and you just sucked all your energy. It was amazing. And then it's like, all right, I've been in a fight with Mike Tyson or something, you know. And then you rejuice up your chi, you know, and it's crazy. But lots of power out there that we don't know about.
Yep. One of my favorites that I got to videotape was when somebody was dumb enough to ask Dr. Don Liu to hit them with a love hit. And I was like, you've never seen this before. Yes, I get it. You're a big, burly martial arts dude, but I'm going to videotape this for you because it's going to hurt your grandchildren. And videotape it, and he'll be standing there, and he knows he's going to get hit by this 90-pound soaking wet Chinese lady, and she'll stand, he's standing here facing her, and she stands this way and just does a little and goes, and throws him back 3-4 feet, and all the oxygen leaves his body. And I'm like, dude, and you watched it coming? You asked for it. Now you know. And I've had 2 of them go, you videoed, after they got some oxygen back in their body, but they're like, you videotaped that, right? I went, mm-hmm. I got to see that because I've been hit a lot of times. That hurt. I went, she was nice to you. But it was the difference between getting hit with love energy and getting hit with hate energy. Love energy is much stronger. And she just explained to him, all I did was thought of how much I love my kids and put that energy in my arm and transferred it into your gut. Quickly. And yeah, they watched the video and they're like, how? Because it's not like she wound up and did one of these. She just did. Yes, Elijah, the toothpick. If you know, you know. Kind of like dealing with Master Norm Johnson when he's doing all of his acupuncture pressure hits and lines up all the students, and I'm smart enough to be at the end. And I'm watching these guys, and he goes, yeah, it's right here. Ow! Right here. Ow! Ow! And I'm watching all these big guys like, ah! Hey, he gets to me, and I'm like, no, I'm good. No, I can show. I'm like, no, I'm quick learner. 12 different big guys go, ow. I don't need to feel that. I felt ow watching them. I'm good. I learned to be a quick learner that way. Who else has a question or topic?
So along the same lines, we're talking about alignment, right? We're talking about coherence, we're talking about alignment, we're talking about all of you on every different level, mentally, energetically, physically, emotionally, all being oriented in the same direction and then taking action is going to add exponential strength to, maybe strength is not the right word, but to the push of the action that you're taking. And it's the same with hypnosis. If all of me on all the different levels is aligned with an outcome, it gives more push to the strength of my suggestion. And that's what makes it work even more. Does that make sense to people? Or am I babbling?
Who has a comment or feedback for Elijah?
Are you saying also, Elijah, the words and the intention?
The intention, the words, the posture,
counts. Yeah.
the energy, the emotion, all of it.
Mm-hmm. Whoever holds the frame the longest.
Well, okay, so that's kind of, I'm gonna say yes, but that's not exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But yes, that too.
Very cool.
Okay, kids, we got 12 minis left. Who has a question or topic to finish us out? Lenora.
I heard one today about Louise Hay, and this was the one she randomly pops up. And I listened to her stuff years and years ago, and it resonates much more now. She was very high level for me when I first started, and then some of her stuff just would like pop right out and it didn't sit. And she had said today, which I thought was fantastic. She goes, I like to think of my subconscious as living in my stomach. And for some reason, that just, right, Fran? It just was like, I could not have agreed more with this woman if my life depended on it. And she even said, and she was one who I first learned about affirmations from, and she was very big into the affirmations. And this was one of the first times that I had ever heard her say, have you ever said an affirmation and your body then responds with, no, that's not true? And I was shocked because I had never heard her talk like that. But quite literally, and I know Dr. David Snyder gave this analogy once or many times in his spiel of YouTube videos, that your subconscious looks for records, and if you say something to it and it goes, hey, do we have a record on this? And you go, no, we don't have a record on it, and throws it right out, versus having a filing cabinet of records of like, if you're not good enough or if you're feeling not worthy enough, it's got a slew of those. So when she said that it was in your stomach, I thought that was really powerful, because there are times where I will have thoughts and they will literally get trapped in my heart. I will feel the tension. I will feel the pain. I'm like, okay, clearly something's stuck here. And certain ones, when they go down to my stomach, I can feel the discord or I can feel the alignment. I'm like, oh my God, this woman is completely accurate when she says subconscious is in your stomach. Why that one stuck today, I have no idea. But there you go. For anyone who needs some insights, look into that one.
I think you can feel your unconscious mind in any particular part, and you'll get a different flavor from every different part.
If you put flavor,
consciousness, a different perspective, a different flavor. Your stomach will give you feedback in one way. Your heart will give you feedback in a different way. Your head will give you feedback in another way. And your special parts will give you feedback in a different way totally. but check them out. Sometimes they give you maybe interesting
I love
advice.
you, Fran.
Always the
For
best.
so many reasons.
So
But-
your liver will give you different advice again. Check them out.
No, Fran, you are 100% completely accurate. That's why I teach three brain protocol. We all believe that our head brain is the one that's in charge, and our head brain wants us to believe that that's the one that's in charge. And when I get people to check their heart brain and their gut brain, and all of a sudden they get three different answers, and they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. It just like when you go into the cereal aisle, what do you want? And the heart brain goes, well, we should probably go with some like oatmeal. Yeah, that'd be a good thing. We'll go with oatmeal. And the gut brain is like, well, no, because I want that over there because that reminds me of such and such. And the head brain goes, yeah, we're going with Cocoa Pebbles. That's what they all agreed on. Yeah, I talked to them and we all want Cocoa Pebbles. Yes. And yes, that area gives you a different answer as well. Gets most guys in trouble.
Not just guys.
Yeah, yeah. Well, especially when guys understand. Were you thinking with the big head or the little head?
The little one on the shoulders.
Yes, that one. So we got 7 minis left. Anything else people want to talk about? Yes, Lenora.
I heard this interesting one this week. You know how, I don't know if any of you guys are like this. I am a numbers person and love numbers, as in 111, 333, 222, you name them. I stock them. I track them on license plates, on mileage. I am always looking for them. And normally I look up, oh, what does 888 mean? And I'll look it up generally like that. And somebody suggested this week to ask, what might I need to know right now? What is the sign wanting to show me? And to trust your subconscious in that. And I, for some reason, thought this was a fantastic idea. So now, whenever I'm seeing these recurring numbers, I'm asking, what might I need to know right now? What is this trying to tell me? What is this a sign for? And then if you're looking for a specific sign I don't know if this is kind of a rule of thumb. If you're wanting a sign about something, you have to be specific, not just send me a sign. Send me a sign about da-da-da. You have to say what kind of sign you're looking for, because there's a whole bunch out there. So you got to be a little more specific.
I asked for a sign once and I thought, well, I won't ask for a small sign. I'll ask for a shooting star. And I waited and I waited and there was no shooting star. And I said, well, how about just a little one? And then this satellite just slowly came across the heavens. That made me laugh. Close enough.
Microphone.
I love that, Fran.
Sorry,
One time,
close enough.
I think it was great. I asked for a sign of deer, and I love deer. And I'm sitting in my backyard. They normally traipse across my yard, and nothing. And so finally go inside, or whatever the case was. I think it might have been like a 24-hour thing. Saw no deer. I go to my phone and I come across a reel where, I kid you not, there were about 100 deer in this reel. Like, it was a video of a deer park. And I just thought it was hysterical.
You ask and you get answered one way or another.
Yes. it's interesting the number of people that put on the sign. I want a sign, and they're expecting, I'm just going to, this is your sign. In big neon flashing colors. And they're missing this little one over here that says, this is your day. And they're all around. But you have to be open for accepting what they are. Well, I thought it was going to be a bigger sign. But did you get a sign? Lenora?
You also can't question it. If you asked for a sign and you're like, oh, but like, don't dismiss it. You asked for it. If you're like, if they're going to give you a sign and you're like, oh, yeah, but that's just not what I was thinking. Or no, that doesn't count. Don't push it away.
Yeah, there's
Go ahead.
just a book put in, reference put in the chat. And thank you. That is my very favorite all-time book, Illusions by Richard Bach. What is it? Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah. So yes, be aware of everything around you. You'll see much more when you open your awareness to the little things too.
I love that you're recommending this too, Fran. Thank you, Michael, for putting it in the chat.
The other thing about signs, isn't it interesting how people will go, give me a sign about what I should do. And then the sign shows up clearly and they're like, yeah, but I don't want to do that. Give me another sign. Yeah, but I don't want to do that either. Give me another sign. Michael.
Really quick, along with the 3 brains and signs and muscle stress tests. So studying Chinese medicine and chiropractic and different things that I've done in the past, you can do little muscle stress tests. And easy ones you can do, you can, if you have a question, you say, okay, feel strong, and you can do your fingers. You can do your stomach where you take in a breath. That's one of the best ones. I'll sidetrack, I'll do both of them really quick. So if you have a yes, you can take a deep breath through your nose. When you go in through your nose, you want to breathe into your hara. And if you can inhale fully, that's a yes, that's in alignment with you. If you can't take a breath in, if it's blocked, if it's slow to fill, then it's a no. And so it's like, oh, so there's a sign. If you're doing the muscle stress test, you can say, okay, yes, make my fingers strong, and your fingers are strong. And if it's a no, then your fingers will bend a little easier, or you can pull or do different things. It's like that with stress tests with doing chemicals and energies with chiropractic. You would have somebody hold their arm, and then you'd put something else in their hand that would maybe cause them weakness, like some kind of encapsulated virus or something that the person may be allergic to, and their arm would like be super, super weak. Kind of crazy when you get into different signs and different tests that you can do. Always be testing and always be testing.
ABT. ABT.
Be prepared to expand your awarenesses.
Yes. All right, kids. Well, that brings us right up to the end of another Triple T. Always fun stuff. And, yep, more proof of how challenging sometimes it is to finish 3 topics in an hour. But always good stuff. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, love you, Mom. And for those of you that are watching the recording for the first time, thank you for watching all the way to the end. spread the word, not for my glory or anything else, just because so we can help more people. For those of you that are watching, join us so you can ask some questions, and we would love to hear your answers. I've talked on this many times. Who's the expert? The person that's half a step ahead of the rest. And sometimes we just need that extra angle, that input. So, thank you all. And I always get the privilege of thanking you guys for offering up your very precious commodity of time. Obviously, I haven't figured out how to reproduce it and replicate it and give it back to people. I will as soon as I can figure it out. But until then, I appreciate you bringing your special commodity and gift here for this platform. Love you all. Please go out and live life to its fullest. Make the world a better place. Be kind to people, and know that I appreciate and love you all.
Have a great week, everybody. Thank you. Peace.
Bye.